video. Today, we've got a guest speaker, Tisha Nagel. Tisha is an expert in SEO, specifically with Google Console and understanding your analytics. She's in the platform every day, and she wanted to share some of the best practices that she works with every single day with our audience in an effort that you guys will start using more of your analytics once you know how to do it and what those tools are. So Tisha, thank you so much for taking the time to share your knowledge with our audience today. We're going to go for about 20 minutes and then we'll have some questions. As always, for those of you that have been at our office hours before, you can ask questions about the specific topic, which we encourage and we hope, but also this is your opportunity to kind of get some free consulting from us. So if there's something on your mind that relates to the industry or other business problems that you're having, feel free to throw those out too. So welcome everybody, and we'll keep everybody on mute and videos off until we get to the QA section, and then you can either type into the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So for now, I'll hand it over to Tisha. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Tisha.
Well, hi guys. My name is Tisha Nagel. I am a quilter by trade, and additionally also used a lot of my project management skills and started working for an IT company 3 years ago. I'm also a mom to 2 small humans, and they are pretty awesome, and they take up a lot of my time. So quilting hasn't been a huge priority over the last year, given everything, but it's been coming back. So we started with the pandemic. My company started a grant program to help small businesses. And we talk a lot about analytics and Google Search Console and playing in this realm and really starting to help businesses understand what's happening. I realize a lot of people may not always know what Google Analytics are or Google Search Console and why they are so important to your business. A little bit about me. I've been around on blogs and websites since, Flickr. And I also I've had a few small businesses as well. So I really started learning when quilt blogs became a real thing, but I have learned so much over the last 3 years, and I feel like it's really important to share. So, and that's it's just how we operate. So, why is this important to you or me? And that's because analytics will give you so much information about who is coming to your site. Google Search Console will also tell you how people are finding you. So you can figure out referrals. You'll be able to take this information and put together a marketing strategy. But more importantly, you can really take that time and figure out if your things that you're doing are effective. Best part is analytics and Google Search Console are free tools available to all site owners, and it gives you a ton of information. One thing I do want to mention is what I'm not going to do today. So this is a very high level overview of Google Analytics and Google Search Console, what they are, how to read some of this information, and how to implement that into your business. This is not about search engine optimization or Google Ads. However, doing all of these things really helps you get ready for search engine optimization. So just a couple of things to think about there. If you need further help, I'm happy to chat about that later. So Google Analytics, the wonderful screen that is. Does anyone already have analytics set? Does everyone already have analytics set up on their site? If you do, you can go to analytics.google.com and you can kind of pull this up and see as we're going along here. Okay, so how often are you actually checking analytics if you have it? So,
looks like we have a few people who said they have it.
okay, great. Great. And then are you checking it?
One says every couple weeks and one says essentially never.
Okay. I get it.
Which is exactly what we hear from our clients too. And monthly.
Yep. Okay, great. Great. And that's okay. So that's a lot of what I hear as well. So what are Google Analytics? So first and foremost, they're going to report back to you who's using your website, demographics, interests. You can find out genders, ages. When I say interest, you can find out affiliate interest groups as well. And they can help you understand which pages people explore, how long they stay, and how people find you. And this is where there's a double asterisk there because this will connect back to Google Search Console. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit here. So when you get to Google Analytics, you see this wonderful little gray screen on the left-hand side. It talks about real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. And under each of these is additional information, and we'll break that down a little bit further. So audience is actually who is coming to your site and breaking down their demographics. Acquisitions are how they are finding your site. Behavior is how they're actually interacting within your site, what pages they come in on, what pages they go out on. And conversions. These are things that you have to set up, but they can help you track how people interact with certain things. I have some clients that want to track how many people click on the call button, how many people click on a donate button. Those are all things that you can set up within Google Analytics. So audience, breaking this down, I will tell you that this is you can go really in depth on the amount of information that you can find out on your current users. You can find out their ages and genders. My age and gender of my users is roughly between 30 and 70. Their interests also happen to be in DIY, happens to be in gardening, happens to be in cooking, and 30-minute meals. My Etsy store is full of pot holders. Pot holders are a good subset for these people. So I am attracting the right type of people to my website that would hit my target demographic for products. Where are your users from? Are they from all over? Is that what you're going for? Is it from a certain state? Where do you kind of go there? Behavior. New and returning users gets a little mucky because Google uses a cookie to kind of track people on your site, and it isn't always entirely accurate. One person can come to your site across multiple devices, and that counts as one person. Also, if it's been a certain time frame, they could count again. And some people have blockers on their browsers to prevent cookies from tracking them. So this is a really good number to look at, but it may not give you the best information all the time. If you want to get a look at how people are actually interacting with your page, another thing you could look at is Hotjar, because that will actually show you how users scroll through your page, not just, and will record how people click through on things. So that's an advanced component once you kind of understand how people are already using your site. Technology and mobile will tell you which devices and browsers people are coming from. If your site is mobile optimized, that's another component there as well. So, oh yeah, Hotjar does have that free trial. So it's a really cool, it's a cool tool. It is, I will tell you, it's kind of creepy it's kind of creepy how much information that they can get from you. And when you really look at analytics, how much information they can decipher off of you. So take that with a grain of salt because it does help you overall as a business. So acquisition goes into how people find your site. And we break that down into 4 different categories. You have social, direct, organic, and referral. Organic search is what we call search engine optimization. And each of these kind of go into a different path. So we're going to break that down a little bit. Social can include any of the following: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, Blogger. That's all things that that analytics may consider as social. Additionally, some of these can be in more than one spot. So Blogger could also be a referral. Pinterest could also be a referral. We'll kind of go into that. One of the things I think that this is really good to help you figure out is if you're spending all of your time, let's say on Facebook, but all your engaged users are coming from Instagram or Pinterest, is that worth your time? Is that where you need to be? It just really kind of gives you some additional insights there. When we look at referrals, we're looking at information on where your users are coming from other sites. This can be really important. I have a trucking company that wants to utilize more of their referrals. So we've dug into them. And one of their chamber of commerces that they're a member of is actually sending a ton of people to their website. They had contemplated if it was worth spending money to have a sponsorship or have an ad on there. They're already sending people. It's a warm lead for them. So they looked at exploring that further. Is there a blog that's sharing your information that you could possibly do a partnership with? In your referrals, I think it's a really good place to find potential partners or other websites to work with, finding out if a sponsorship is worth your investment, and really just giving you some extra potential outreach there. Bounce rate. This is something to look at as a general rule, but there are some extra caveats here that start to get into search engine optimization. So I'm going to try to keep this as basic as I can. Bounce rate is a metric that we use to determine if a single user had a session duration of 0. What that means is they came to your site and they left. High bounce rates are not desired because that means that tells Google what this person clicked on is not what they really wanted. So it ultimately tells Google that doesn't align to that user and can push you further down the search results. Longer interaction times lower your bounce rates. And this is not somewhere you want to be 100% at. You want a low bounce rate. That means people are staying on your site longer and are finding more things that are applicable. And there are some things you could do there that could really help keep people on your site longer as well. This will really give you some good parameters to kind of think about. So, okay, I'll answer those questions as we get towards the end here. Okay, so bounce rate is just kind of one thing to look at when we talk about optimization. Google Ads, and I say this as someone who has seen people go through and use Google Ads and get burnt, and I've seen people be really, really successful with it. If you don't understand your current analytics and you don't understand Google Search Console yet, I would advise you to not put efforts into Google Ads. There are tons of other effective ways to promote the content that you do have without having to really dabble into this. And I know Google, and I bring this up because Google has the free ad in analytics that says, hey, get a $100 credit. That $100 credit probably isn't going to get you very far depending on your industry. Depending on your industry, it may not be worth it to dabble into Google Ads. An example, I have a client who's a realtor. You can't compete with Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin.com. Those are the people paying money for Google Ads. They don't have the budget for that. So they're looking at other ways to promote themselves other than Google Ads. Also, too, you want a good strategic partner to help you with ads, because otherwise you can waste a lot of money. If that's something you're interested in, I can align you with someone that could be interested, that can help you with that. So I wanted to open analytics and just kind of take a quick second here so you could see. Can you guys see my browser when I switch here?
Yeah, it looks like it's bringing up
Yes.
analytics.
Okay, great. Of course, there's an error. Wouldn't there be?
Technology never wants to cooperate.
No. I had this all loaded bright and early this morning, ready to go. I've been on my computer all day, hence the super scratchy voice. So, okay, well, we are just going to move at snail speed, which is just not very helpful. I'll answer a couple of those questions while it's sitting here. What if we don't know what the sites are that are listed under the referral? So I'll show you what I mean by that. And will they give you the URL that's referring? Yes. So let's dig into that while you guys have questions. So this is what my analytics look like over the last week for my website. I have a very high bounce rate. I'm okay with that. This is more the information that I wanted to show you guys. So when we look here at, it may just be too slow for me to really dig into this. Demographics. So here's a quick look at how the demographics show. So, oh, hey, look, my target audience has been going up in age. So I'm 100% female, so I know writing about topics for men on my site, probably just not going to get the traffic that I want. But here's the other awesome things. Here are all those interests that my website fosters. 30-minute meals, home gardening and decor, media and entertainment, book lovers, well, shopping and bargain hunters. So I talk a lot about thrifting. I talk a lot about making baby quilts. These are all kind of things that could that could go together. Let's go into acquisition and I can show you the referral links. All traffic referrals. You can also play around and compare dates as well. You can do a lot of things. Google Analytics is really pretty cool. Let me expand this just a little bit because I know that there's a few that will be a referral for me. Okay, so I can see that quilting is more fun than housework is a referral for me. I can then click further on this. And then I can even open this up in a new tab and see what it is. So I can see what the website is. I may not be able to see the actual content. I would have to go in and look at pages more directly. But you can see, when you see this, that means that it is just going to a main page and not an actual page specifically. That's a good indication they're going to send you to someone's homepage. If there's a link directly to your site or anything, that should show up within your website too as a backlink. And you could possibly get a notice on that as well. Here we go. Here's a link from 2017 specifically that's still referring over to my site in 2021. So someone looked at that and their DNS, their site might be down. Okay. So that's a little bit there on what the actual analytics looks like based upon a couple of your questions you've already had. So, okay. Next up, Google Search Console.
We have a couple questions on that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It looks like one, can you go back to your audience interests? My profile doesn't show that.
Okay.
So is there something you have to enable to be able to see that?
Yes, there is. So there should be an option here under your audiences. When you go in and go under interest, if you've not set this up before, there should be a component here of that says like check if you want to enable this. It's a big screen and it will do it for you. While we're Tracy, I can send you the screenshot of what that might look like. I've got a couple that I need to enable that on for clients, so I can send it to you so you can see it.
Okay, and then from Edie Ekman, is there an optimal ratio of traffic sources, like 25% referral, 25% direct search, etc.?
I think that that's going to be really up to you and deciding on how you've been kind of doing things. Having direct search means someone has come to your site directly. They already have it in their browser, or they have it, they've written it down somewhere, or they have you. So that's probably a returning customer. New ones are probably going to come from things like referrals or from search engines, which it's really, I'd say it's up to you. I've seen growth over both, just depending on what I'm doing. I know that social and referrals, even if I'm not creating new content and I take a break for a month, are gonna be my main source because I'm not putting out new things.
And actually, we have a few things we're going to talk about at the end because we have a piece coming out next week that's going to complement some of this.
Right.
So I'll get to that. And Tracy says she got it. Thank you. She just didn't click down far enough.
That's all right. I knew it was there, and I wanted to walk you through that. So, okay, Google Search Console. Now, this used to be a part of regular analytics, and they broke it off a couple of years ago. Why is Google Search Console important? The biggest thing about this is it can really help you prepare for SEO because you're armed with information. So what do I mean by that? Google Search Console, it's a tool on how keywords or phrases people are using to find your website. It can help you determine what keywords to explore or to continue using. Google Search Console is a good basic step towards understanding search engine optimization. So let me open up one of my clients and show this to you. She has some good engagement. Mine is not that great, so I just wanted to show you. I have not been working on my website much over the last 16 months with the pandemic and some other things, so my numbers are just not great. So one of the things that we'll see here a little bit, this is an author. She has a children's book, and she's also a crafter too. She has a couple of craft books. I forgot about that. So what we're going to see here is kind of her performance. But when you come first into Google Search Console, this is a page that you're given. There isn't a ton of information. There's not a lot to see here. And it looks like, okay, what does this all mean? Click on performance, which is what most of us want to look at. As you can see, it sets it back to be the last 3 months of information, and I'll go over what each of these will mean as well. When you scroll down is where all the good stuff is hiding. So here are the queries queries are keywords as well. So one of the things to think about for Google Search Console when you're in here is the time frame. So this is only looking at the last 3 months. You can look at more. So let's start here with impressions. Impressions mean how many people actually saw your result in Google. This is not Bing. This is not DuckDuckGo or anything else, only on Google. And so her stuff was seen 32,900 times over the last 3 months. 757 people clicked on that. So she has a click-through average of 2.3%, and her average position is 11.1. So it means she shows up on the second page. So 1 through 10 will be first page, 10 through 19 is second page, and that continues on down from there. We can see that some of her keywords do better for click-throughs than others. One of them here, like a self-hug, and we could go back and this is where Google Search Console starts really getting into SEO. So I'm going to try to not dig too much into this because it can be a little overwhelming, and we could always talk about it. This is just to kind of arm yourself with information. So we know her self-hug stuff just isn't doing that great. 3,000 people saw it, 15 people clicked through it. So a conversation I've had with them recently is, how do we promote that? How do we change that? How do we make that better? So that's some things I've done with them as well. I'll kind of come back to that. Oh, so there is an extra step. Do any of you already have Google Search Console set up already? If not, you might need to go in and set it up specifically. Okay, I'll walk you through I can walk you through a little bit on verifying. So, hang on. Okay, all right. So one of the big things with Google Search Console is making sure that you are verified. If you are on a WordPress-based site and you utilize Yoast SEO, this could be a good place to verify yourself. But you also have to make sure that you're using the right URL. And so I was personally using HTTP. My site is now an HTTPS. So mine wasn't verified under HTTPS. So I had to go back in earlier this year and update that because I switched over hosting and it gave me an SSL. Things to think about. You may need to do this more than once. Also, on Yoast can help you authorize it if you don't want to go through and do analytics and put in site codes and put things up in headers and footers and put things in your theme depending on your website. So Yoast can be a really good tool there. If it's not already set up, it can take a few days to set up. There's also another plugin called SiteKit that you can utilize on a WordPress-based site that would let you have analytics and Google Search Console all within your site. You don't need to sit here and go pull up each individually. It will actually link you to them. So that plugin name again is SiteKit. Yes. I bet that is what happened. Okay, so that's a big thing because this has to be set up separately from analytics. Analytics is a code that you put in the header of your main page. It's good to go. Google Search Console has to be its own entity as well. Okay, I have an example from one of my friends. We were talking about this and site performance, and when she looks at her Google Search Console, she gets the most hits on her website from a paint by number blog post that she did. She doesn't do paint by number stuff. She's a craft and sewing blogger, but that's what is sending people to her site. So we've discussed ways to go in there and help promote other strategies, other tools she could use to really kind of help promote herself, because that's what's getting people to her site. As you can see here, it doesn't tell you how long people are staying on certain things, but it does give you your click-through rates. So for this octopus, she's at an average position of 1.5. And we can actually see the pages that people are going to just for that. So move this out of the way. So we can see here that Otto the octopus has its own page, and that is driving people directly to that. So I would say that Otto the octopus is pretty well optimized to position 1.5. Additionally, okay, let me go back here. So this is where things really start getting into what could be search engine optimization. And I just want to go over it with you, but these are much bigger conversations to have. If you're seeing lots of errors that have stayed on your site for a really long time, might be worth visiting what those are to see. Sometimes it's content's too wide, mobile isn't reading right. If you just see a blip here, like an error comes up and then it doesn't happen again, don't freak out, wait and see if it keeps happening. So if I click here on her errors, if it doesn't give me an actual page, I can't go in and actually fix it. Okay, so she actually hasn't, oh, it's a 404 error. So if you have 404s, just means someone is trying to get to a page that isn't rerouted. I'm guessing something got renamed and a 404 didn't get put into place. So note to self, do that when I get off this call. We really want to focus on that performance tab at this point, just for this presentation. We've kind of already gone through what the performance is and what to kind of expect from that. Okay. So then we talked about queries. So we can actually see the keywords that people are using to click through to your site. You can see the pages. If you're wondering what pages you should work on first, you can see this to see how many people are seeing it, then maybe how many people actually click through, and what kind of opportunities for improvement that you might have. So there's a ton of information here. The one thing you do want to make sure that you do, once you get Google Search Console set up, and this is where Yoast, the Yoast plugin can also come in handy, is a sitemap. If you do not know what a sitemap is, I recommend you put Yoast on your website and it will pull your sitemap for you. And then you can go in here and see when the last time Google crawled your site. If it hasn't been crawled in a bit, then you need to resubmit your sitemap. The web is basically a giant web of interconnections, and this tells Google when to go in and actually crawl through your site with its bots. And if you're a brand new site or a brand new domain, you want to keep updating things at least once a month, if not more, so that Google will crawl your site more frequently. That's a whole other component of optimization. So Google Search Console can help you prepare for SEO. This is an area that's expanding with Google, and we'll see more updates with that May core update that's coming. The core web vitals, I don't know if you guys are going to touch on this with your additional components that are coming out, but core web vitals is becoming a really big role, and you can find all that through Google Search Console. That could be its own presentation if someone wants to dig into that, and it is very technical things.
Yes, we produced a post, I believe last month, on Google Core Web Vitals that has all the tools that you can use that either you or your web person can look at. And that's also going to be part of our upcoming piece.
Awesome. It's an emerging thing. If you need help, I'm happy to help you, but it is out of my technical realm. I mean, it is a lot of, there's some other things. I'm a project manager. I know enough to be really dangerous on sites. I can't you guys personally. You want to talk strategy? We can talk strategy. You want to talk editing a site? You want your site to work. So basically, walking away from today, I hope you realize that analytics can give you a ton of information on your users and how they interact with your site. There are whole Google courses. Google used to have a whole university on it. There are lots of really great resources out there if you want to learn more things about it. Search Console tells you how your visits convert and impressions to actual visits. Google will add or remove these features with their updates. So you might see more things, you might see things go away, you may see things in beta if you play around in them enough. And if you have questions, you're welcome to email me. That's my quilting email. So it might be a day before I get back to you, but if you have questions, I'm happy to chat. So, but that's just a really brief overview. Thank you guys for the questions as we were kind of going through things. If you have something more specific or want to chat other things, I'm happy to help. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you to Tisha for presenting for us. And at this point, if you would like to ask questions, you're welcome to do so in chat. If you'd like to unmute yourself, that's fine too. We will take questions relating to Tisha's presentation, or if you have other questions that you just general marketing questions that you'd like to hit us with, that would be great too.
Oh, thank you, Tisha. That was wonderful.
Thanks. Tracy, did you get everything figured out?
It looks like I have work to do. Which, you know,
there's always work to do.
Yes. And it's probably one of my frustrations with this over the years is that, you know, I think it's all okay and then it all becomes not okay. And I'm like, what happened that made it all not okay? I find that those menus change constantly. And so the things that I, you know, used to know to look at, now I can't find them anymore. So, you know, I don't think that's anything anybody on this call can solve, but those are my things.
I mean, things are even changing within how Google processes some things and does some things. But I mean, like at this point, we kind of have to play by their rules to be seen.
Absolutely.
To be relevant. So don't ignore those emails that come from Google that talk about their updates. And one other thing I should have said is you can get performance reports from Google Search Console and analytics coming to your email. It can be a little overwhelming, but they are full of lots of information. So
I do actually get those. Yep.
Okay. That's a really good question, Megan, on how Chrome eliminating cookies will affect audience data. I think take it with a grain of salt. Like your visitors might go down, but I think they're still going to be able to track something. I don't think it'll be.
I think that's also an issue, a growing issue over data privacy, because the other thing that we've seen is the iOS 14 update means that people are going to have to opt in to allowing Facebook to collect their data now, which we've seen is going to make a difference in terms of advertising on Facebook and the demographic information you'll have access to. So I think it's going to be quite a bit of push and pull between people allowing their data to be collected, and we may see more and less over time, and Google is going to have to figure out some ways to combat that. So I would expect that we'll we'll see them making some changes.
Yeah. No index might just mean you don't have content on that page.
Actually, I do have content on the page, but I marked it no index because I didn't really want it to be crawled by, I mean, I wanted to keep it semi-private and only
Okay.
have people go to it, but then it's showing up as big red, you know, problems.
So if you don't want it crawled, I just delete that from your sitemap.
Okay.
And then if you're ready for that to be crawled at some point, you can put it up.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
I did also pop the link into chat that talks a little bit more about the core web vitals. That has all the tools from Google that you can use to sort of evaluate kind of the technical aspects on how your site is running. And those tech specs actually will make a difference in your ranking on Google. The better you score on those, the better you'll do. And some of them are actually simple fixes. Some of them are would be simple for a web person. If you have a web person, you can hand them to that person and say, hey, I want to fix these. So
Yeah.
some of them are a little more difficult, you know, designing a site that's mobile friendly and responsive to what device people are using. That can result in a redesign if your site already isn't configured to do that. But those are ways that you can improve your ranking, kind of on the technical side that doesn't have to do with what content is actually on your site.
Yes. And the core web vitals, from what we have, what the research I've done, is actually super throttled. Like they are putting people on the lowest, like 3G old phones, and that's how they're ranking it. So if your mobile shows up terribly, don't over panic, because there's still some things, and it's a give and take. It's 100% a give and take on, you know, I don't know that anyone can be 100%, can get 100 on core web vitals, but you know, it's a balance. There's a 5-hour technical SEO webinar today that I didn't go into because I was like, I don't have the mental capacity for that today, from SEM Rush, that'll go over all those things. So,
well, that sort of leads into what I was going to say. We are in the final stages of putting together a white paper on SEO, and it's going to be sort of the next step beyond this, which is sort of figuring out how to optimize your content so that search engines will favor you in their rankings. And so the paper focuses mostly on the part that you can control about what's on your site and how to optimize that to get more web traffic. So that paper will be available next week. It will be free. All you have to do is sign up for our email list, which I think most of you are on, and we'll be promoting it on the blog next week when it's ready. We're just putting some final touches on it, but that's kind of the next step in this process. Is now that you know what your analytics are telling you, how can you influence those analytics? How can you start to push the levers?
awesome. I can't wait to read it, guys. I may need to use that.
So, and I guess we'll say a last call. Do you have any questions? They can be related to Tisha's presentation or not. And then the other thing I will let you know is our next office hours, I believe, is going to be on April 20th. I believe that is the Tuesday. And we are putting together a presentation on TikTok and Instagram Reels, because that has been popular questions in our office hours. So we're working on that one now, and a reminder or a save the date will go out for that probably later this week or early next week.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, guys.
So any other questions that we can answer?
I'll just say I'm happy to know about you guys. I didn't know about you before. Thank you, Tisha.
You're welcome.
Someone asked comparisons when you have multiple properties like Etsy and a personal website.
So you can actually put analytics on your Etsy shop and your personal website. I actually have that. Megan, I can message you about that. I know Megan, so I can message her, and we can look at that.
Okay, absolute last call for questions. Otherwise, thank you again, Tisha. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. If you have questions afterwards, you are always welcome to email us or Tisha. She put her contact information in there as well. And we'd love to chat with you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye-bye.